Greetings from Italia, I'm my Lord Bones, IMO The Yawhg. Yawhg is a choose-your-own adventure simulator. It was released on the 27th of February 2014 on Steam by Damien Somber and Emily Carroll. Firstly, let's talk about this as the PC applications. There is no options menu, no bindable keys, no volume sliders, the game runs at 720p in full screen, that's about it. So let's get straight into it. It does work with a controller and with a keyboard and has local co-op. I'm going to choose these two characters, because these were the first two I chose. Now, I've played this game through about 4 times, and it is essentially about the Yawhg, which will be here in 6 weeks. You have 6 weeks to decide how you're going to spend your time. Now you see a stats in the top right hand corner up there. I'm going to choose her to go and make some magic happen, I think. To spend the week experimenting with different potion brews. You gain 2 magic and 1 mind. One day you hear cries for help coming from the next room. Running over to investigate, you see that the alchemists there have accidentally created an ooze monster. How do you dispatch the ooze? Now this here is an event. I've only got 7 magic. I think the way that's going to be enough to actually disarm this ooze monster. I'm going to have a go though. It says you pulverise the ooze into a puddle with an array of magical spells. The alchemist all cheer. You gain 1 charm. Now there is a random event. Now these happen basically at the end of almost every single time you do something with one of your characters, and I get to choose what to do with both of these characters. So I'm going to make him go fight some crime. So you spend the week outsmarting and beating up criminals. You gain 1 mind, 1 physique and 1 finesse. One night a man walks up to you. Excuse me sir, feeling a little lonely tonight? Yes. For only a small amount of coin I can make you feel good all night. I haven't got any money. I'm going to say no thanks. And that there is essentially his entire week. You can play up to 4 characters and there's going to be on local co-op with different people on the controller, but obviously because it's turn-based, you could all be sat around a computer or all be using the same controller, passing it round. So with that in mind, you got to ask yourself, are there enough events to keep this random generation of events actually interesting? The answer is no. There are, I reckon there's about 6, which is 6 weeks, and therefore then I reckon there's about 6, considering you wouldn't want to have to repeat in the same playthrough, but they definitely repeat a lot, and that's the reason why I don't really feel like I actually need to play this game over again, because the pure simple reason is there isn't a lot of content for the price. The amount of content I was expecting it to be more like £2. Now, there are a few things other than the fact that there's a lack of events. And the first thing is, sometimes these events will actually affect the overall course of a week. For example, sometimes you'll end up closing down the palace or the forest, or end up unleashing leeches onto the town, and so on and so forth. And also in a few cases, there's a little bit of supernatural magic sort of... Have I got a kind of charm? Let's use a king, shall we? Sort of supernatural type deal, in which you can end up destroying, I think, almost anywhere on the map. I think during my playthroughs I've actually been able to destroy and black out, and then that place is no longer available for the rest of the 6 weeks before the Yawhg. I think this game is very much so like a sort of dating simulator, in fact, because you're sort of working on statistics in order to get an end result. The end result happens within about 15 minutes, which is how long an entire playthrough actually takes in this. So in that way, I feel like that there is the only audience I could ever recommend this game to, but not necessarily at this price, because I don't personally feel like I want to play through this again and again and again. I have 8 magic. Do I have enough? Ah, I do have enough. The fog clears, the frog is gone, and a tall regal man standing in the pond instead. He thanks you for helping him, gives you handsome reward. Your reputation improves. As you can see there, that there was a way of you passing or failing an event based on your statistics, which is obviously very integral to the actual gameplay itself. I'm going to bartend. It's also integral to the end part of the game, the Yawhg, but we'll get to that later on. So you are training up physique, finesse, mind, charm, magic and wealth. Wealth is probably the easiest one to gain, because you gain them by doing anything that requires a job. So I've got 9 charm, so let's convince him to leave. You approach the bard and convince him to leave the entire place. Yes, I did. And you gain an extra 2 charm for that then. So as you see there, the effect the normal events inside the actual game, but they also affect the end Yawhg. So the other thing I suppose other than this to actually talk about is the fact of the overall aesthetic of the game. So it sort of looks like a children's sort of book or sort of mystical tales type thing. And you get these sort of frames here. Generally speaking, these don't really change so much other than the character you're actually using. In this case, there's one woman wearing blue. That's usually the only part that actually changes. Let's take us off it. And that's fine. I think that gives us some physique. It does. And the soundtrack, which you can hear right now, I mean, it's very, very repetitive. I suppose it sort of has to be, but I was sort of expecting at least a little bit more. It does get a little bit sinister, and you'll hear a little bit sinistery in a second. So you get 1 wealth and tips and 2 of the charm for this current thing over here. So as I say, there isn't really much to this actual game, especially not for the price. I've seen continually the same events, and they're almost predictable as well in your responses, because you know this needs X amount of charm or X amount of magic, or there is also a certain course of events that actually adds 1 onto all your stats, and I've seen them in various places and know exactly the response to get this sort of reward, which sort of makes a second playthrough easier and easier until you've just gamed the entire system. Now this is where the soundtrack becomes a little bit more sinister because of the Yawhg. It never really tells you what exactly the Yawhg is, but you sort of get an idea about it. This person here, physique, is sort of her main thing, so let's start doing this crime. I suppose this game to me personally reminds me of that camping caravan one I can't remember the name of, Super Amazing Wagon Adventure, where you sort of create a story as you're going along. Now as you see here, this person over here is a vampire, I think it's a vampire anyway, that wants to take your blood, and you'll see this in a second if you happen to be reading the bottom bit, and this then will mean that you'll go on a rampage wherever the next location is. And I sort of know this because I've done this several times before. So she's actually going to buy me and says thanks, touch a few coins, and she disappears into the shadows. Now the next thing we're going to do with this blue woman is go somewhere. I might go to the palace actually, because I'm not actually really caused a lot of grief at the palace. So I'm now going to take this person, take her up to the palace, and tend a ball, and we'll see what this happens now. I'm actually quite curious. So you gain your charming event. Over the course of the week, you've noticed your skin becomes paler and your teeth become sharper. You notice that whenever you talk, everyone nearby hangs on you every word. You gain 3 charm. You also feel more frail and gaunt than you used to. You lose 3 physique. One day you notice a woman tilting her head back, pushing her hair, her neck fully exposed. You can even see a vein or 2. Delicious. Before you know it, you're coated in blood with a mangled form in front of you. There are dozens of people around you and they're filled with delicious nectar. The next few hours are a blur. You wake up the next day in bed sheets soaked with blood that is not your own. You look in the mirror and notice your skin has regained its colour and that your teeth have dulled. Sorry about that. So that there is the first time I've actually created a vampire to raid across the palace. In previous ones I've had a werewolf raid into the arena over here, and I've had several occasions of werewolves and things along those lines. And also with this in particular thing now, when I'm picking up a dagger, this also affected my previous Let's Play where I was able to actually kill something in the forest that would have otherwise killed me. So now it's going to come to the Yawhg, where all these statistics actually matter. So let's just carry on this. So engraved to the hilt is a headless raven. So the storm arrives in the night. By morning it still rages. For 3 days tempest puts us through a grinder, drowns us, crushes us and ruins us. Now this is where your skills actually matter. So I'm actually going to make her the leader, maybe, I think. Let's try making her the leader. So as you take upon yourself to be the leader of the survivors, you expertly delegate and prioritise tasks, you gain motives, speeches, and act as an effective mediator in disputes. This helps rebuilding of efforts significantly. See there, that there was a pass essentially for what our skills actually are. I guess I'm going to choose the doctor maybe because of my mind. Take it upon yourself to help the sick and injured from the Yawhg. You struggle to handle the amount of patients you have. You lose a few, but manage to save most of them. The efforts have helped the survival efforts a little. Let's see whether this one was actually a successful run, because what happens is based upon what you've just said. Okay. Based on what you just said, it tells you whether or not you've completely ruined the place, you completely saved the place, or this situation, which is a sort of a struggle, but we never abandoned it. So it's sort of in the middle sort of area now, and I've had situations where I've purposely made it terrible, and the first time it was actually all right, and sometime in the middle I got the good scenario. So this is where we actually find out what our statistics, what things we actually did affect our lives. So with the town being rebuilt, you take to visit the palace library. You look for any material regarding the mysterious disease which that woman infected you with. After a few months of research, I think you discover exactly what you need to do. You wrestle yourself into a stake and begin scouring the slums, hoping to enact your revenge. One day you find a secret passage leading deep into the sewers. With the town starting to get better, you start to distance yourself from everyone. You worry that they might find the secret of your dagger. One night you notice a headless raven perched on some rubble, and in an instant your dagger is in your hand. The bird lands on your shoulder and you can feel it somehow burrowing its consciousness into yours. Though fully aware, you have absolutely no control of your actions. Fog billows out from the dagger and envelops you into an impenetrable veil. You spend the next 20 years travelling from city to city, assassinating members of the royalty, absorbing their essence. Then, with your body becoming too old and tired for the raven's liking, you're forced to turn the dagger on yourself and crumble into ash. That there is all affected on what you did and how your statistics actually were during the course of the actual game, and essentially is a completed run. So you also get a different type of city-state, and you have individual stories made up through the course of the entire game. Now, let's sort of conclude this now. So, Yawhg is a game with a limited scope that, although is enjoyable, is very short. Yawhg is on Steam for $9.99, £6.99 or €8.99. Getting a sale, if you want my personal suggestion. See you in the next one. Goodbye.